All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what time zone you're chiming in with us. Sorry we're late. We had some technical difficulties. No internet. What else? My computer froze. So we have a workaround, right? Entrepreneurs, we get things done. We fix things. So today is Thursday, the 14th of October, 2021. This is show number 41. And I'm super excited because I have a financial professional here today that's going to be sharing with us really some tips, tricks, and hacks on how to be an entrepreneur. And she's had a lot of success. She's expanded during the whole shutdown, and I'm just really impressed. She's very articulate and absolutely gorgeous. Wait till you see her. Please welcome to the show, Jelyssa Cooper. Hi, how you doing, sister?
Oh, good morning, Kai. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I'm super excited to be a part of all that you do. Let's get started. I'm just fired up. I can't wait.
Well, I'm just glad we made it work. 4 computers later, 3 internet connections later, we're here. But this is how we roll, right? So thank you so much. Well, I know that there's a lot of people on the show that are either are entrepreneurs, looking to be entrepreneurs, and they're always curious how somebody went from employee mindset to wanting to, dreaming about owning their business to actually taking action. How did you make that big leap of faith? Because I know that was a handful of years ago for you. What was that like?
For me, going from employee to entrepreneur mindset was more of wanting more in my life. Being an employee, it's good, it's great, right? It pays your bills. But what about those dreams that you have? Is it paying for your dreams being an employee? And to be completely honest, I couldn't say yes at that point in time. I wanted to travel more. I wanted to spend more time with family. And what I found was when you're working a job, although it may pay the bills, you don't have the flexibility of time. So that was when it hit me, when I said, you know what, I need more time. So that's what makes an entrepreneur great, is they go ahead, take the initiative so that they'd rather pay for more time, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. For me, I just had my last boss that broke my camel's back, if you will, that was just mean and naughty and just awful and fired me. So I think we all have our own sort of coming out of the matrix, if you will, like realizing there's something more than just going to work and, working for somebody else. So I love those journeys. Those are my favorite stories. And I know a lot of people decide, hey, I'm going to dabble in something. They do it on the side, or they, burn the bridges and go full time and fail, because 95% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years. You're certainly over the hump. What would you say, quite frankly, was your, reason that you won and you were successful versus all the other people that dabble in a real estate or dabble in this or do that? What would you say was the key success factors for you?
So the key success factors for me, Kai, and that was a great question that you asked, is basically don't quit your day job too soon. That's the first thing. So when I started my business as an entrepreneur, I actually was doing my job full time and doing my side business or my business part time. So once you're able to get into that place where you can replace your income from your job with your business, that's when you should say, okay, let me save more money, let me go a little bit longer, and then eventually take off and, fire your boss, if you will. So that was one key thing. Don't quit your day job too soon. Okay, yes, it's going to be some hard work. Yes, you're going to put in some long hours, but it's worth it in the end. The next thing that worked for me is being organized. I live by my calendar, Kai. I live by my calendar. It is my boss. So I schedule in everything. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's ice cream with a friend, if it's hiking, if it's an appointment with a client or hiring a new person, everything has to be scheduled. And if you schedule it in, it's possible.
Yeah, you also talked about your calendar. Do you want to share a little bit of thoughts on, like, you're saying your calendar's your boss? I've heard that many times. I love that.
Yes. Okay. So here's what I mean by my calendar is my boss. Everything I do gets scheduled. It doesn't matter what it is. So literally getting my hair done, getting my nails done, having an appointment, scheduling it in time to make connections with clients, with new prospects. It all goes into the calendar. I put it in, an hour or 30 minutes, right? I have reminders set up. So throughout my day, I know exactly where I should be at what time. So if you live by your calendar and you schedule everything in, it can be done. Even family time. Literally, my niece is coming this weekend. She called me this morning from Sacramento.
I couldn't agree more. And
go ahead, Kai.
there's a little bit of a delay, so I can't tell. So because we're obviously working on some hinky, technology today. Sorry about that. But I couldn't agree with you more. So number one is I definitely quit my job, or not my job, I didn't have a job, but I quit working my career way too soon. And it did some damage to the family. And I think, being really judicious with your time, especially if you're trying to ride two horses, is really important, because it'll be, I don't know if you can relate to this, but while I was at my career, I'm thinking, I want to be working my business. While I'm at my business, I'm like feeling guilty because I should be working at my career. And when I'm with, my boyfriend, or now my husband at the time, I'm like, I really should be working. I shouldn't be hanging out here. Did you ever have guilt issues like that? And how do you reconcile those? It's hard when you're straddling all those things in the beginning.
So, Kai, I completely agree with you. In the very beginning, yes, I had those guilt issues that I went through where I wanted to be in different places. But at one point, I was sitting at my job, and don't get me wrong, I had a great job. I had employees. I love them so much, my greatest team ever. But I was sitting at my job, and all I could think about is I would rather not be here. Even though I loved my job, I was like, I'd rather be building my business, building my life, building my legacy for something that's going to last long. So when I think about it, Kai, jobs, they're good. But the thing is, will you pass down your job to your children? Or can you pass down your job to your children? No, but you can pass down your business to your children. You can leave a legacy for them. So that was that moment for me. I said, you know what? Every time I'm at work, I'm thinking about my job. Even at one point, Kai, funny story, I probably shouldn't say this, but at one point I was taking longer lunches so that I could work on my business. Because when you're in a salary position, you have a flexibility sometimes, depending on what company you work with, your lunch hour. So instead of taking maybe 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes I just take an extended 2 hours and I take care of business. Why? Because I knew that this person was available at this time. I knew this is what it was going to take to launch my entrepreneurship, my business forward. So yes, there was times that I felt guilty. Hey, I should be doing this. Hey, I should be doing that. When I found the happy medium was basically when I made that decision to move on.
I love it. And I know you and I both have a service-based business, and a lot of people have a brick and mortar. And I think that, who would have ever predicted this pandemic? But quite frankly, we fared a little better. And I feel so for my brick and mortar brothers and sisters who had storefronts and restaurants and things like that. So you and I both have service. But it's also a little different. So everything in life's a trade-off, right? So we don't have a storefront where people can just walk by like a dealership, right? People walk by, come in. We have to be a virtual storefront. So what do you recommend? How do we drive people to us? How do we, because it is different. What are your thoughts on no storefront, and how do you get visibility without it?
When you are in a service business, the best way to get visibility is to start within your warm market, right? What I mean by warm market is starting with friends, families, best friends. That's the best place to start. Now, what we say in my industry is that you don't go to people, you go through people. Now, let me explain that. So I'm not going to address my mom, my dad, my siblings, my best friend and say, hey, I want you to join me in business. I want you to buy my products, or whatever kind of business you have. I want to go to them and say, hey, let me share this information with you. You may know some people that could use my services. So when you go through people, they don't feel this stress or pressure to buy, purchase, or use your service. They're more likely to help and refer. No one likes a pushy salesman. No one, trust me, I have many examples. I won't get into it, but no one likes anyone that's pushy. But if you would say, hey, let me share this with you, and who do you know? That's a better approach. Now, once you have gone through your warm market, what you want to do is you do want to network. I am a huge people person. I have to tell you, Kai, the pandemic and having the shelter in place, to me, was a little bit miserable in the very beginning, because I like being out and I'm outgoing and I'm like, wait, I have to stay in my house. There's no way I can do this. So you have to go out and show yourself, go out and network and talk to people. And if you're not good at talking to people, get good at it. Read books, practice, do what you have to do to showcase yourself.
I agree. And it's interesting because we talked about this before. Like, my mentor said, if you don't like your personality, get a new one. And it is true. So I think a lot of times the story that we tell ourselves is not true. Like maybe somebody told you you're shy. And so now that's the story you tell yourself for year after year, year after year, day after day. And then all of a sudden, you want to be a successful entrepreneur, and it takes a certain chutzpah, a certain personality. And so if you aren't happy with where you're at, there's all kinds of things that you can do. Join a Toastmasters, right? Read some books. I just think that that's an excuse. You can choose to be different. You're not born, no one's born shy or an introvert, right? That's something you develop or a story you tell yourself over time. Don't you agree?
Correct. We are told that. And I would think another good way to kind of change your mindset, or if you're not an outgoing person, get a coach. There's lots of
Yeah.
business coaches. Get a coach, someone that will hold your hand, because that's what you need to be successful. Someone that will hold your hand if you're in that position, that will help catapult you to the next level.
That's a really great point. And I know that we talk a lot about professional development and things like that. How integral has that been in your success as well? I know it's a huge thing for me.
So, Kai, professional development is an ongoing daily task. That is scheduled into my calendar. What books I'm going to read today, right? What audios or videos I'm going to take a look at it. Some of it's motivational. Some of it is, hey, continuing education, because I am a financial professional. I'm always learning. So professional
Yeah.
development is top notch. That has to be done every day. It is stated that successful people read a minimum of 30 minutes per day. These are like the wealthy people, a minimum of 30 minutes per day. And they probably read a lot more. So I would definitely say start there.
And with just with the pandemic, the access to information has gotten huge. I mean, it seems like everyone's on the bandwagon giving away free information. So find somebody you like. Maybe it's a Tony Robbins, and just, follow and get information. They're giving away so much free right now before you have to pay that it's insane. So whatever budget you're on, make it work. There's all kinds of information out there. I know I've been studying a lot on social media because I'm trying to crack the code on that bad boy. Boy, that's obnoxious, right?
Yeah.
What is one thing that you're studying right now, other than your, finances and all that stuff? Is there something you're really studying? And if so, what's been your favorite book, favorite podcast around that subject?
Okay. So one thing that I'm looking into right now is actually, it's a couple of different books that I'm reading, but one specifically that I really like is 177 Mental Toughness Strategies of the World Class. So that's a book that you read gradually, of course. And what it's telling is just getting you into the right mindset. It's not specific on any type of industry. It's, hey, this is how the world class win. Where are you? Right? It's the average people versus the world class mindset. And it points out very small things. Like, for example, I hear a lot of people say, average people may wake up just enough time, right, to get ready and go to work. But the world class is waking up at 5 a.m. I know many people have heard of the 5 a.m. club, right? So that's one thing. It also talks about, in general, your mindset on how you approach things. So are you doing something for recognition? Or are you doing it for the long run because you know that it's a good thing to do? If that makes sense. So these are one of the books that I'm reading that I'm always embracing. Just very good ideas. Definitely check it out. It's a great book, and it will definitely set you up for success.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going for recognition, we always say, the pin, the ring, the whatever isn't going to pay your bills. So, go for what's last. And my mentor always taught me, go for money, not position. Position doesn't pay, right? So that's kind of been my motto, and it's worked really, really well for me. Just think, yay. Now, I know, and we actually met networking. We met at a couple of different women's type events. Tell me, what are some strategies for networking? Because I do see people that are new in their business come to network, and you're like, ew, icky. And I'm praying I was never that person, but 20 years later, it's hard to remember how I was back then. Maybe I was because I needed the sale or whatever. What are some great networking tips for maybe in person versus online, or maybe both?
I would say some great networking tips for in person is to not be a card pusher. That's the first one. So the first networking events I ever went to in California, it was all card pushers. Like, yes, it was a networking event. Everybody had food or drinks or whatever, but they would just push their card on you before introducing themselves. So first and foremost, just introduce yourself. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. Stick to a one-liner. No one wants a paragraph when you're meeting someone for the first time. Because to be honest, people like to think about themselves. They're always like, what is in it for me? So your best bet is to just focus on, hey, a quick 60-second spiel. and then find out more about that person, because you honestly may be able to catapult yourself to a different level if you know more about them, because you might be able to help them or someone they know. So that would be the first thing, is going out and not being a card pusher, just a quick introduction and getting to know people. The second thing is asking questions. So don't make it all about you when you're networking. Ask the person some questions, and they don't have to always be serious. Come on, I went through my life for a very long time where I was super serious. At some point, you kind of have to break down the barrier, throw in a joke. I'm not that funny, but I can be sarcastic. And sometimes, depending on the person, I'll just throw in a joke here and there, right? So I would encourage you to do those two things. Introduce yourself, quick spiel, 30 to 60 seconds, and then ask questions. That's the best way to do it. Now, if you're networking online, the best thing, you kind of have to warm it up a little bit more. You really do. I think videos is a good approach, maybe using voice instead of text. I think a lot of people are getting tired of text, to be completely honest, or direct messages on social media. Send them a voice message. Hey, it's Jelyssa. I'm doing this. I just want to check in to see how you're doing, and start a conversation.
Yeah, no, it was more than two things. Like I love your card, no card pushing. I never ever give a card unless they ask. And it's so funny because like I'll be at the end of the event, like, oh, did you not give me your card? I'm like, nope, you didn't ask for one. Oh, okay, can I get one now? And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see. So like my whole thing is connectwithkai.com. Like that goes to my link tree. And like,
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to ever really use cards, because I just like go to connectwithkai.com and there's my website. There's my, link to all my events and yada, yada. So I think there's going to be a shift in some of that pushing anything. The other thing I loved that you said was don't just throw up all over somebody. It's so funny because in networking, they really don't care what you do. They're just like, you're telling them, and they're just thinking about how can they respond and tell you what they do. So
Exactly.
I think you could say, I sell gorilla babies for a living. What do you do? They'd probably be like, oh, that's great. Anyway, I do. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
I don't even think they pay attention. It's so funny. And so you reminded me of an old saying where it's like, you want to be interested, not interesting. So I love that you're cracking me up on that. That's really, really funny. I know that there's a lot of online networking, so groups. I was thinking more of like when you go, it's hard to virtual. So they're doing virtual networking where you're not reaching out directly. I'm talking about like a networking event that's online.
Okay.
What are some best practices for that? Because I think that's a lot harder to crack the code and get in there and meet people. Do you have any great hacks for that too? Because a lot of that's gone online, especially as we go into the winter months. It'll probably be even more online.
Correct. Great question, Kai. So online networking groups, just be involved. So I sat down with a social media guru, and Diana Morgan, and what she mentioned was specifically when you participate in a group, join like-minded groups that you're actually genuinely interested in. If you're not a nurse, don't join a nurse networking group, right? If you know what I mean? If you maybe are a chef, then you want to join a chef networking group and slowly feed in your personality. So participate. So you're posting about things that are happening in the world that are maybe related to what you're doing, because you want people to know, hey, this is what I'm doing now, but you want to get involved with those groups that are like you, if that makes sense. Things that are of your interest. And what you do is you just participate. So you post, you share, you like, you comment. Okay. And when they see that you are involved, people tend to say, okay, well, who is this person? Why are they so involved in this group? What's special about them? And then what you do is you switch from that outbound business to the inbound business, where people are literally reaching out to you because you are liking, you are sharing, you are posting. Now, when I say that, we are not posting, oh, here's my event. Here's something, come see me, right? That's salesy. What you're posting is things that people would likely be interested in. And you do have to do some market research for that, because you have to find out, okay, what really would get people to look at this post? If you're going to say, hey, I want to sell you this, or hey, come to my next event, people are like, I'm busy, right? But if you maybe send out a quote, or maybe you send out a newsletter, something that will grab their interest, and they're like, oh, that's really good. Now they're watching you and they're following. So that's changing from outbound business to inbound business. That's how I would recommend that you get involved and network online. Get involved with groups that are like-minded to you and your skills, your abilities, and then participate. Don't just post and leave. I think that might be a big issue. People post, they leave, they never come back.
Good stuff. Yeah. And I was thinking more specifically of online networking events. So we went to a in-person networking event yesterday, but those groups are going to be going online again because of the winter months. We can't meet outside. And so I got a couple tips for just online networking. Be sure that if you're in a big Zoom with a bunch of people on a Zoom, that's kind of what I was speaking to, Jelyssa, was like everybody's networking. It is hard because you're not there like sidebarring and whatnot. But I mean, definitely, blow up the chat a little bit. If somebody like sparked something that you're interested in, go onto the chat and say, hey, listen, I'd love to hit you up on LinkedIn. Maybe we can do a virtual one-on-one. Take it from that big group to more of the one-on-one would be my recommendation, especially if you can add value. If you can't add value, I wouldn't do it. But if they could be a good power partner for you, you could add value, then I would take that offline. I wouldn't just meet people just for the sake of collecting people, right? If I already know 25, let's say, realtors, I can't power partner with everybody, right? So I can't really keep collecting them because that's not the right thing to do, if that makes sense. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing about that. You're all up in people's business as a financial professional, like up in their business. And so from a business owner standpoint, I'm sure you help them as well. So individuals and business owners with their finances. What are some common mistakes you see, or maybe the top 2 or 3 that you see a business owner make with regards to their finances?
I don't know if it's a mistake. I would have to say it's more of just a habit that business owners make with their finances. It's good to reinvest in your business, but you need to have a budget and a plan of how you're going to reinvest in your business. If you are a business owner and everything that you make is going directly back into your business, something's wrong. Now I say that because how do you live? You still have to pay your bills. You want to have some fun, right? So everything you make shouldn't go back into your business, but you need to schedule and budget a plan of what's going to go to marketing, what's going to go here or there, or restock or supplies, depending on what business you're in. So I would say that's one of the major habits that I see of new business owners, where everything is going in there and they're relying on maybe a spouse or someone else to kind of support their lifestyle, and they're pushing everything into the business. So I want to encourage you to budget that out. That's the first thing. Now, another area that I say that a lot of new business owners and or individuals make when it comes to like finance in general, one area that they can improve on is overspending. Overspending. Yes. People spend more than they make. It doesn't matter if you're in business. It doesn't matter if you're an employee. We overspend. This whole credit card, popcorn type of era. We like things fast. And instead of waiting for, prime example, Amazon is amazing, but it's at our fingertips. And I know some people that get packages every single day. Every single day. And it's like, wait, did you want that or did you need that? So deciding the difference between needs and wants. And we never want to be frugal, because I don't live a frugal lifestyle, but I live a lifestyle within my means. And I'm saying, okay, if I want more, let me go out and get more, right? So I want to encourage you to go out and make more money, right? Go out and make yourself more visible so that you can increase your lifestyle. I don't want you to live in a box, of course, right? But always evaluate need versus want. I would say those are my top 2.
I love that because, business can be expensive. I mean, sometimes I buy leads, sometimes, you'll spend money on a big, program, but it's got to make sense. Like I have a guy that I work with, he doesn't even make $50,000 a year, and he spent $10,000 on a coaching program. And I'm like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like I freak out. So I think there's a good rule of thumb, spend about 10% of your income on your professional development. So if you're making 30, invest 3,000 in a good course that like a Tony Robbins or something, but don't spend. I love that because I think people get hyped up, especially when it comes to professional development, and want to just overspend, like pay for that big, huge coach, pay for that big, huge program. And it's like grasshopper, all in good time.
Exactly.
That was awesome. And I think overspending too, I think people want to have these trappings of success that people will see, like think they're, successful, even though they're not. And you know what? I think debt free is the new sexy. I said that from stage last weekend. I mean, it just because then it gives you that confidence, right? Like, you know, your bills are covered. I don't need your to buy from me. And I think there's a desperation if you like are overspending and you're like, I need it, right?
Exactly.
Very, very interesting.
Keep in mind that, like you said, Kai, being debt free is it's a relief, and you can go out there and make money or not make money, right? But one thing I really want to point out, when you are completely in tune with what you're doing, people will be attracted to you. So you have to encourage people, don't overdo it, don't over push it, right? Just be your natural you. And that things will happen for you. And if you stay consistent, that's another thing. Staying consistent in whatever you're doing. If that's posting, consistent in your daily outreach, that also helps. Or staying consistent on your budget, staying on task. I would say are all great things. And one last thing that I see that business owners and sometimes individuals don't do, they forget to protect the main thing. So if something happens to you, right? If your business is feeding your family or feeding your passion, what happens to all of that? Right? So we need to not only protect ourselves, but protect our businesses, protect our livelihood. I honestly, my coach, we were on a call the other day, and literally they got protection for their mouth and their hands. Now, I know celebrities do it, right? They get protection on different body parts, but you have to think about the grand scheme of things. If something happens, how will my lifestyle continue? How will my family continue? So that's another thing that business owners or people in general need to know about. If something happens to me where I am no longer or able to use X, Y, and Z, or my body is not functioning how it is, how will my lifestyle continue? How will my family survive? So that's one thing to think about.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, a little bit gratuitous, you know, I sell legal plans and I've seen it all. So yeah, because then we're here to clean it up afterwards, right? If they don't do the protection on the front end. So,
how do you prepare before? So many people get like GoFundMe pages. I'm like, go fund yourself, right? Like preparation is key.
yes. So if people wanted to engage and continue this conversation with you, find out more about, you know, how their finances look, maybe get a little checkup financially from you, how would you like for me to put it in the chat? So how would you like for me to have them engage with you? What's the best way to connect?
The best way to engage with me is on social media. Jelyssa Cooper, find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, right?
You know your handle off the top of the hand, so
it's just Jelyssa S. Cooper if you type it into Facebook, and it's Lady Cooper 2 on Instagram. That's pretty much it. That's the best way to find me.
Okay, so say it one more time. I'm going to do the Instagram one, which is what? What is it?
Lady Cooper 2.
Lady Cooper 2.
On Instagram. That's more of my fun play profile, right?
Okay, so let me.
And Jelyssa S. Cooper on Facebook. That's the best way to reach out to me.
Okay, so there's that. And then it's Jelyssa S. Cooper on Facebook. Great. Any last final comments before we close it out, my friend?
My last comment to all entrepreneurs, especially those that are starting, is, you know what? The best thing to do, so Cooper, Cooper, the best thing to do is to just get started. I think there's so many of us that we have great ideas, but the difference between a person that's successful and a person that's not successful is they act on those ideas. So take some action today. That's my last comment.
Right.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. That was amazing, Jelyssa. And like she said, you know, just take one of these ideas. Maybe it's in networking. Maybe it's getting into one of those Facebook groups. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's looking at your financials. Maybe it's reaching out to her for some help. Do something today, right? Don't just let this go, because as you get further away from the information, you won't take action. So anyway, my name is Kai Deering, and this is On the Fly with Kai. We come to you every Thursday, at 10 o'clock, all time zones in between, prayerfully, as long as your technology is working. And we share about 30 minutes of good ideas for tips, tricks, hacks for entrepreneurs. So we'll see you back here next Thursday for an amazing broadcast, an amazing show. Thanks again, Jelyssa. Everyone, take care, take charge. We'll see you over the top. Bye-bye.